Hello, Jacksonites, and welcome to another video. Sorry for my absence. I got caught up with work. No, the rest of my Christmas Amazon package has not shown up yet. I've only gotten 2 items. They're not movies. Admittedly, they're weapons, and one of them sucks. So I'll still show them to you guys, but it seems like a majority of my stuff will be showing up next week, not this week, unfortunately. Oh, and all the way. By the way, Happy New Year. And this is going to be the way that I'm going to do videos from now on. There's not going to be a light on up here. It's just going to be my desk lamp up behind me. My brother told me that it better illuminates my face when it's this way. So, and admittedly, I do like this this setup. So we'll stick with this. So yes, you read the title right. I'm kind of treading into, admittedly, dangerous waters here because it seems like I'm not welcome in this community. But since this movie is a kaiju film, I like to think that I might be safe. Today I will be reviewing the I guess you could say this is sci-fi. The 60s sci-fi tokusatsu film. Excuse me. Directed by Ishiro Honda and put up by Toho. 1969's Latitude 0. Yes, I finally got my hands on this. Also, side note, pardon my voice. I caught a little bit of something, which has made my voice pretty gravelly, but I hope it doesn't really affect the video all that much. So yes, indeed, I will be reviewing Latitude 0 today, a movie that I literally just got done watching for the first time about an hour ago. Latitude 0 is is a bit of an interesting film. Do I have my water? Yes, I do. Hold up. God damn it. There we go. Okay, so Latitude 0 is kind of an interesting film. Because, well, it's interesting for a lot of reasons. One is that it stars, or not really stars, but yeah, it stars Joseph Cotton from Citizen Kane and Cesar Romero from 60s Batman. It was a Japanese and American co-production, which had money put up by Henry G. Saperstein and Company, who, for those of you who don't know, Henry G. Saperstein was the man who created AIP back in the 60s and 70s. AIP distributed a lot of Showa-era kaiju and tokusatsu films here in the States. Cut down, but still, he released them here in the States and made a little bit of money. And Henry G. Saperstein was a pretty cool guy. And he was able to actually see the depth in a lot of Ishiro Honda films. And see the allegory that he would put into these films. And he's one of few people at the time who actually saw kaiju and tokusatsu movies other than just, entertaining movies. Though I definitely did see them as entertaining films and nothing else. Which is why he was a fan. And I think this was the last movie that was a co-production between Japan and America, at least in terms of a kaiju film, for a while. This was also the last movie that Eiji Tsuburaya worked on before he passed away in 1970. And this is also the last time. No, that was. Well, it's kind of debatable. Okay, this is the last time where Eiji Tsuburaya was on set multiple times to help with the special effects. I think he only worked on Space Amoeba 2 or 3 times, and that's about it. But this is the last time that the 4 triumvirate of the Godzilla co-creators actually worked on a tokusatsu film together. And that being director Ishiro Honda, producer Tomoyuki Tanaka, music composer Akira Fukube, and special effects director Eiji Tsuburaya. This is the last time that those 4 worked together. And again, I say it's debatable with Space Amoeba, but I do believe that Eiji Tsuburaya only. Actually, no, I don't think he touched that film at all, because apparently Sadamasa Arakawa was the special effects director for that film. Anyway, Space Amoeba is a whole other story. Latitude Zero, for it being the last movie to feature the Four Triumvirate, admittedly, it's a letdown. I don't mean to quote Adam Noyes, because admittedly I did watch his review a little while ago in preparation for watching the film. And yeah, this movie is kind of a letdown for it being the last of the four co-creators, but admittedly it's also a unique film for them to go out on, because they started with Godzilla and they ended with something that's totally different but still spawned from Godzilla in some rudimentary way. And overall, Latitude Zero is just it's kind of a strange film. I can also definitely see it's a very ambitious film. Well, I think it was trying to be an ambitious film. And there's just a lot of potential in this movie, and unfortunately it's just not really executed very well. But in Latitude Zero never really intrigued me. Like, I knew of Latitude Zero's existence when I was a kid, growing up being a kaiju fan and being a Toho fan, researching Toho and Toho films. I knew of Latitude Zero, but it's for a long time the movie never really interested me. And admittedly, the only reason that this was the first no, not really the first, but first in a while, Toho tokusatsu movie from the 50s, 60s, and 70s that I purchased on Amazon was because this disc specifically was $25, whereas the others were $30 and even $40 in one movie's case. I think it's Atragon that's $40 on Amazon, whereas every other disc is either $30 or $35. Yeah. Anyway, so I purchased this, and admittedly, watching Adam Noyes' review of Latitude Zero for a Shiro Honda-thon, at that point the movie did intrigue me, because it sounded like a gloriously bad, over-the-top fun film. And now that I've seen the movie, there's a lot of things about this movie that I do like, but there also are some things in the film that do stumble for me. Though, admittedly, this isn't really a flaw, but there is something about this film that I think shares with another Toho movie that I recently seen, which is Atragon, thanks to Justin Tang, who was able to help me see it. These movies share a trope that... Oh, thank you, Heath. Much better lighting. Anyway, I think there's a trope that these two movies share that I will mention towards the end of this review, and it's not really a flaw, but it is something that I think you should take note of. So let's get into the plot of Latitude Zero. Hopefully I can remember it, because I just got done watching it. Okay, at the beginning of the movie, there is a research vessel led by 3 scientists. One played by Akira Takarada, and one more thing that is noteworthy for the Japanese actors in this film, because this movie has both Japanese and English actors. All the Japanese actors learned their lines phonetically. I got 80 subs? Really? I did not know that. Anyway, all the Japanese actors learned their lines phonetically, and god damn does it show. Because, we're hearing... Normally... Sorry, my throat is clogged. Normally, Akira Takarada, if he was to speak English in a Toku movie, he would have been dubbed over, like they did in Invasion of the Astro Monster. However, here, no matter what, he's speaking English. And damn is his accent thick. His accent is so thick. 75%, 25% of the time, I cannot understand what he's saying. Thankfully, I kind of sort of know how to read lips, but I had to turn the volume up. I had to rewind the movie, turn the volume up, and actually listen to what he was saying through at a louder volume to really understand what he was saying sometimes. Oh, God, I don't know. I would have just dubbed him over. Like, I don't know why Akira Takarada had to speak his lines phonetically. Anyway, I can't remember the name of the third guy, but also the second. Actually, no, he's not a scientist. He's a journalist, but he is along the ride in this bathysphere. He's played by Richard Jekyll from Grizzly. No, not Dr. Jekyll. It's spelled Jaeckel, or maybe it's pronounced Jekyll. So I'll just say that for future reference. He plays a journalist, and there's two scientists. One is Japanese, and the other is claimed to be French. And my big fat ass, that this dude is French. He is Japanese to the T. Granted, he doesn't look as Asian as Akira Takarada, but he's French. My big fat hairy ass. Anyway, so these three men get inside this bathysphere and they descend to the bottom of the ocean to see if they can discover some new marine life. And a little ways away from them, an underwater volcano erupts and knocks the bathysphere loose. Its cable line snaps and it flies away into the currents of the ocean away from the ship. It is picked up by an underwater super submarine called the Alpha. And is picked up by Captain Mackenzie, played by Joseph Cotton, and is brought aboard the Alpha and treated for their minor injuries. The French guy, I can't remember his name, please forgive me. The French guy, quote unquote, has more serious injuries. He has a laptop treating you. The laptop is treating me just fine. It's charging out in my patio. I'd have it here to remember their names, so pardon me for that. Anyway, the French guy has more grievous injuries, so he is treated by the main female doctor. I think her name is Linda Haynes. Oh my God, jeez. I'll get to her later. But he is treated by the doctor, supposed doctor, and after some convincing by Akira Takarada's character and Richard Jekyll's character, they are taken back to their base, which is codenamed LZ, but it's actually called Latitude 0 because it's at the 0 latitude on planet Earth. Joseph Cotton states it's 11,000 fathoms below the surface of the ocean, which I have no idea how much that is in feet. Heath, do me a favor and look that up for me, will you? 11,000 fathoms in feet, please. Anyway, along the way to Latitude 0, they are attacked. The Alpha is attacked by a rival super submarine called the Black Shark, piloted by a really ugly Asian chick. I think her name is Kuroi. Yeah, I think her name is Kuroi, and she is the main henchman of Malik, played by the glorious fucking villain. The glorious fucking villain. Cesar Romero as, I think he's Dr. Malik. I'll just call him Dr. Malik. Oh my God, Cesar Romero is just 11,000 fathoms is 20,000. Damn. Anyway, yeah, Malik is played by Cesar Romero, and hello, but Big Boss Gamer, Happy New Year to you as well. So they engage in a dogfight. I didn't notice I hit 80 subs, so pardon me. I probably should have done something special for it. Anyway, fuck, where was I? Oh yeah, Dr. Malik is played by Cesar Romero and is one of his most glorious roles. The Black Shark and the Alpha um, engage in an underwater dogfight. It's actually a pretty entertaining underwater dogfight. The Black Shark has all of the has the arsenal on its side, whereas Captain McKenzie is just a very skilled pilot. And he's able to dodge 2 sonic missiles, 2 heat-seeking missiles, and a laser cannon. Just by being a skilled pilot and using its jet propulsions at the last minute to get out of the Black Shark attacks way. And eventually, the Alpha outruns the Black Shark when it reaches the protective electrostatic force field that protects Latitude 0, which lets the Alpha in, but it literally boings back out the Black Shark, which I think at how fast this this ship was going, I think everybody would have either died or they would have been seriously injured, because the recoil off of that would have been so powerful it literally would have knocked them back even underwater. Anyway, so the Alpha boards Latitude 0, which turns out to be this like big giant undersea utopia. It's kind of like It's kind of like Rapture from BioShock if it didn't go fucking nuts. It's just underwater futuristic utopia where nobody dies, nobody ages. There's no politics. Everybody pretty much just does what they want, dresses like how they want. There's no wars, there's no conflict. It's the perfect utopia. And their technology is so advanced, that is what keeps people from aging and dying. Like they extract gold from water, which I'm pretty sure is complete bullshit. They have hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of diamonds that they just toss around like it's nothing. They have their own artificial sun, which projects apparently much stronger ultraviolet radiation and stronger sunlight, but without giving people really bad skin cancer. But they give out stronger sunlight rays, which it rises at 6 and it goes down at 8 every single day. And it seems like Latitude 0 is just this perfect paradise. And apparently Dr. Malik, he just wants to utterly ruin that, literally just being bad for the sake of being bad. So Malik is, of course, disappointed with... At first, I thought this was a horror movie. Latitude 0 is far from a horror movie, though. If you count how horrifying the costumes are in this movie as a horror film, then other than that, no, this isn't a horror movie. So, Latitude 0, it just seemingly is just perfect paradise, and like I said, Dr. Malik just wants to kill that, and he is very disappointed with how Kuroi had just failed to kill Captain McKenzie once again. And Malik kidnaps a fellow Latitude 0 scientist when he's on his way from San Francisco to Honolulu and brings him to his base called Blood Rock, which sounds like something out of Peter Pan. And tries to extract information for some kind of serum that apparently immunizes people to the effects of radiation. Which admittedly is a pretty clever idea, but we never really do see this serum. So it may as well just not even... They may as well have just said he knows things about Latitude 0 that we don't want him to get his hands on. It's that vague, and we never do see this immunization serum, like I said, so it may as well just said, secrets. Anyway, while at Latitude 0, the French guy... recovers from his injuries and quickly starts to fall in love with this doctor. Ugh. And he discovers more about Latitude 0, and Latitude 0 finds out that Dr. Malik had kidnapped this scientist. I think his name is Dr. Ogata. And Malik reveals these bat humanoid hybrid monsters that he had created. They're basically like upper-class henchmen of his who force Ogata and his daughter to watch Dr. Malik create a some kind of monster, which basically it's called a griffin. It's the body of a lion with the wings of a not a shark. It's the body of a lion with the wings of an eagle. It looks utterly ridiculous, and it is utterly ridiculous. And the way that he wants to create this griffin is that he captures Kuroi after luring him or him. She looks like a dude. After luring Kuroi to a certain part of Blood Rock where she thinks he's gonna fuck her, and he traps her in a cage, straps her down, and knocks her out with some anesthesia, and decides to cut open her skull, remove her brain, and put it in the skull of the lion, cut off the wings of an eagle, surgically sew them to the back of the lion, and say, there's the griffin. And because the brain is going to empower the lion's body, the thing will grow 3 times its normal size. Why? That is the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard of for creating a fucking monster. Why? Just why? I need a drink. Oh, that's better. Anyway, so Latitude 0 reaches news of Malik having kidnapped Dr. Ogata, and the 3 men in the bathysphere volunteer, as well as a female doctor, to go along with Joseph Cotton and his Japanese henchman, who speaks only in Japanese. He's not dubbed over, and there's no subtitles given the whole film, to go out and rescue Dr. Ogata from Dr. Malik. And they arrive at Blood Rock. The female doctor stays on the ship. She's the most useless character in the film. And the men take these golden jumpsuits, which apparently are made out of some kind of alloy that is impervious to any temperature. And they also, before they put this on, they take what is called an immunization bath, which apparently is some kind of fluid that once it seeps into your skin, it makes you invulnerable for 24 hours. Where can I get one of those? Come on, science. Give me a miracle. Anyway, so they take this immunization bath, put on these gold jumpsuits, and they also put on, only 2 people use these, they put on these gloves that have weapons on them. The first finger shoots out a flamethrower, the second is a paralyzing gas, and the third finger shoots out a laser that is deadly to the touch. Admittedly, they're kind of cool weapons, but there are only 2 people use them in the whole film. But anyway, so they also put on these jetpacks, and they jetpack into Blood Rock, and they start looking for Dr. Ogata. They come across this giant pool of purple fluid, which is seemingly acid, because the Japanese mute dude steps into it, and it eats away at his suit. Doesn't eat away at his flesh, obviously, because he took an immunization bath. Again, science, where are those things? Please, give me one. It eats away at his suit, and he also loses his jetpack in the process. And right after that, there are these giant rats that attack. And they're clearly dudes in suits. They're actually no, these giant rats, they actually don't look that bad, because the griffin looks worse. But they're still not great suits. There's only like 4 of them. But these giant rats attack, and Captain McKenzie and the French dude, again, just imagine me doing this every time I say the French dude, fight off the giant rats with their laser gloves, as as the other 2 guys jetpack the wounded Japanese guy over the lake of acid, and the rats try to give chase once the French guy and Captain McKenzie get away as well, but they wade into the acid and they are proceeded to be killed. Just early in the film, Dr. Malik had finished creating the Griffin and finds that it does understand human speech and it obeys commands, and it flies off into the distance, grows 3 times its size, and just lays on the mountain. Not even doing shit. So, Captain McKenzie and company infiltrate Dr. Malik's evil lair, which is pretty much what it is, and fight with the bat-human hybrids, and rescue Dr. Ogata and his daughter, but Malik gets away and pilots the Black Shark himself. Once Captain McKenzie and company reach the Alpha, they have another dogfight at the end of the film. However, the movie ends when the Griffin decides to go against its master because it has the brain and thoughts of somebody who said, "Damn you for doing this," after having the surgery done against her will, and her screaming out, "Damn you for doing this, I am going to get you for this." Anyway, the Griffin lands on top of the Black Shark, knocks out the thing's laser cannon, kills Captain McKenzie, causes an avalanche when the laser cannon goes off and shoots the cliff face, causes an avalanche, destroys the Black Shark, and the movie ends with the journalist character being returned to the surface, with the other characters choosing to remain at Latitude 0. The journalist character is picked up by a Navy vessel, and the crew members are convinced that he's going nuts, or he's gone nuts, because he says, "I have a big bag of diamonds here." He zips it open, there's nothing but tobacco. All the pictures and photos that he had took on his film, on his camera, have been wiped clean, and a few of the crew members, played by Akira Takarada, Joseph Cotton, and Cesar Romero, who look identical to people he had just met and knew, and saying, "Aren't you them?" And they're just saying, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then the movie ends just like that, with apparently 600 carats of diamonds being deposited into a New York City bank. Which leaves the ending admittedly kind of ambiguous, but I think it leads more towards Latitude 0 just erased the possibility of there even remotely being evidence of their existence. So how about this story? Well, I'm going to say this once, and I'm going to say it again a little later in this review. This movie feels like the pilot movie to a TV series. Very much so. And having said that, let's get on to the pros of Latitude 0. First off, oh my god, Cesar Romero. Cesar Romero is the first pro. Yes, kind of like the Hulk. Though the pilot episode of the Hulk is infinitely better than this movie. I'm sorry. Cesar Romero is so fucking glorious in this movie. He is so fun to watch. You watch him play this character. He chews up the fucking scenery and just has a complete blast with this movie. It is glorious to watch. He has the most ridiculous outfit. Well, actually, no. It's not really ridiculous, but it is kind of a ridiculous outfit. He has like these gigantic fucking boots that go up past his knees. This pure white, almost like navy, yes, also like the Hulk. The Hulk had a pilot episode, which was a movie. It was a TV film. But yes, kind of like this. But this movie, unfortunately, is not the pilot movie to a TV series. Anyway, he has like these knee-high boots that go past his knees. He has this like Navy officer almost white coat. He has a fucking cape which is white on the outside and red on the inside. And all the costumes in this movie are just utterly ridiculous. But his costume is so glorious. His outfit that he wears when he's creating the Griffin just kind of looks like slightly futuristic, science-y type garb, so it's not really that nuts, but just the way that he acts, it's very clear that he is just eating this role up, and he loves it. Because Cesar Romero actually did come out and say he actually really liked being in this movie, and rightfully so, because this is a fun film, and he is the best part of this movie. Cesar Romero is so fucking fun to watch. I'm gonna say this too. He is more gloriously over the top than Doctor Who from King Kong Escapes. Because admittedly, I never thought Doctor Who from King Kong Escapes was that over the top. I mean, he is, but I just don't think he's as over the top as a lot of people credit him to being. Adam Noise. Anyway, the next pro, though this one I can definitely see as people saying it's a con. Pro number 2 is Joseph Cotten himself. Okay, there's two things regarding Joseph Cotten in this movie. Joseph Cotten apparently hated being in this movie, for reasons I do not know. But he apparently hated being in this movie. So much so that he refused to do multiple takes for a scene that he was doing. So at best, we're seeing a third take in every scene in this movie. He's in a good portion of this movie. He's almost the main character. And Joseph, the second thing is, apparently from what Adam Noyes says in his review, Joseph Cotten was absolutely shit-faced drunk in every single scene he's in. He's apparently shit-faced drunk out of his mind. And I kind of have to agree. Not in the fact that he might be slurring any of his lines, because I don't think he was, but then again, I listened to the English 5.1 surround track, so maybe I should have listened to the original English audio, but I couldn't tell if he was slurring any of his lines. But there's a lot of close-up shots of his, well, not really a close-up, like this close-up shots, but there's a lot of sort of close shots where his face is in plain view, and he just kind of has this bored, vacant, drunk look on his face. And there's one close-up shot of his face where you can see his eyes. They're almost beet red. Like he either A, hadn't been blinking in a while, or he was just dead drunk, and his eyes were just red from drinking so damn much. Oh. But aside from that, I actually do think Joseph Cotten gives a genuinely good performance. He plays the cool, suave, level-headed, I'm the good guy, and I'm good at being the good guy type character. And it actually is pretty fun to watch. Pro number 3 is that the special effects in this movie are really, really, really good. With a couple flubs, well, not really flubs, but a couple hiccups. Other than that, the special effects are really, really solid. The most famous special effect in this movie, aside from the underwater dogfights between the two ships, is the underwater volcano eruption, which I'm sure this is a pretty well-known fact, but I'll still explain it to those who don't know what happened anyway. So what they did for this underwater volcano, when it erupts and it breaks the surface, what they did was they had a water tank. And they had a water tank. Okay, say this is the water tank right here. And this is the camera. This being the main lens of the camera. And what they did was they had a water tank, they had a camera here, and they flipped it upside down. So it looked like the surface of the water was down here, whereas in actuality it was way up here. And they dumped paint into the water tank, so in reality it was actually going down, but because the camera is upside down, it looks like it's coming up from here. And they had a different colors of paint. First, they had like a really light gray, like grayish white paint, which is steam. When intense heat um, hits water, there's a lot of steam. So there's first steam comes up, then there's a little red. Then they gradually get darker and darker and darker shades of gray till there's almost like charcoal gray blackish paint that's being thrown in. They added more and more and more in a wider surface area into the water tank. And they did shoot the camera. They shot the camera at a lower frame rate, so when they shot it at normal footage, it looked like it was coming down very slowly. It was kind of fast at first, but as more and more debris kept getting pushed up to the surface, it looked like it kept slowing down. And they slowed down the frame rate to make it look like it was smoke that was billowing around from a distance, and it looks so fucking cool. It looks so goddamn cool. To this day, I mean, I knew it was paint, but there was a couple of shots. Sorry, I gotta fix my camera here. There was a couple of shots where I was convinced that it was smoke, but then I remembered, oh yeah, it's paint. It looks really, really freaking cool. If you're gonna watch this movie, at least watch it for the movie special effects. Aside from that, the ships, the Black Shark and the Alpha, they're very, very well designed. They look futuristic, but they also look kind of older because they are. Everybody at Latitude 0 is hundreds and hundreds of years old. And it's explained that the Alpha set sail in 1806. So it's an old ship, yet it also still manages to look futuristic, which is cool. This movie is full of matte paintings, and they all look glorious. There's a lot of double projection shots, which you can tell that they are, but they still do look really good. There's a lot of composite shots. Those look really good too. There's a lot of miniatures. The best... Oh, The Boss Gamer, if you are going to watch this movie, I do wish you luck in getting a hold of it. Currently on Amazon, it is available for $25. Just get it up quick because these movies can go out of print at the snap of a finger. So just get it while you can. But anyway, there's a lot of matte paintings, there's a lot of miniatures, there's a lot of double projection, there's a lot of composite shots, and they all look really, really good. The stuff underwater and the stuff at sea, all that really looks good. Overall, the special effects are really, really, really good. Admittedly, I talked about 2 pros in one, because pro number 3 is the great special effects, and the 4th pro is the really good matte paintings. Because the matte paintings really, really, really do look fantastic. They look utterly fantastic. They're so intricate and they're so detailed. I wouldn't be surprised if hundreds of hours went into, well, actually no, probably not hundreds of hours, but at least 100 hours went into making these matte paintings, because I wouldn't be surprised if there was a quick schedule for making this movie, like I'll talk about whenever I get around to reviewing Atragon. But the matte paintings are just really, really, really good. The ship battles is pro number 5. The ship battles are also really, really fun. Though granted, they're kind of prototypical, but then again, I don't think really submarine battles are done that much. Even nowadays, we don't see nearly as many submarine battles as we do, like, say, space battles. But the submarine battles are really fun. It kind of gets you on the edge of your seat when you see the Alpha outrun the Black Shark and outwit the Black Shark, because Mackenzie is such a good pilot. He's able to outwit and outsmart the Black Shark, even though it has so many weapons. Mackenzie is such a skilled pilot that they're really good matches for each other. And the Alpha doesn't really have that many weapons up its sleeve, but it does have a couple gadgets, and not to mention with Mackenzie being such a skilled pilot. The ship battles, there's 2. The ship battles in this movie really are really fun. And also, the last pro is Latitude 0 itself. It is a really, I kind of already talked about it, but it is a really, really cool idea. The idea of having an underwater futuristic utopia where nobody dies, Nobody ages. The technology is so advanced. Um, even though some of the sets in this film are reused from King Kong Escapes, it's just a really cool idea. The idea of having diamonds that you could throw around, and the only reason that they have them is just because they look cool. Being able to extract gold and have a near unlimited supply from water, that's a really cool idea. And just like I said, not being able to age and not being able to die, and because their technology is so advanced, it really is a really cool idea, and it could be explored more if this movie, admittedly, was a little better than it is. Because even though I'm praising it a lot right now, Latitude Zero itself just really is a cool idea. I think it would make for a really good setting for a really good TV series. So let's get into the cons. The cons, all the other human characters in this movie just utterly suck. I hate to say that because I love Akira Takarada, but his character is so boring and pointless. Literally all of the other human... Okay, the only human character aside from Joseph Cotton and Cesar Romero that is kind of fun to watch is Cesar Romero's love interest. I can't remember her name, please forgive me. But the actress who plays her does a pretty good job. There's just not much for her to do because she doesn't have a lot of... Actually, she has a decent amount of screen time, but admittedly most of the time that she does, she's just supporting Cesar Romero, being just a little over the top as well, just to match his, and just tell him how jealous she is that the pilot of the Black Shark, Kuroi, has a massive, massive crush on Cesar Romero, of course, because Cesar Romero gets all the vagina here. Is this a Toho film? Yes, it is. This is a Toho film. Oh yeah, another Toho classic from the legendary Ishiro Honda, director of Godzilla and Matango and such. Yeah, this is a Toho film. Anyway, but she does a pretty good job. Anyway, she expresses how jealous she is that Kuroi has a massive crush on Cesar Romero because he gets all the vagina in this film. But she does a pretty good job. But aside from that, all the human characters suck. The worst is... no, I'm not going to say that. Okay, yeah. I have to agree that the weakest human character in this movie is the female doctor who is the love interest of the French guy. She is fucking abysmal. She was a teenage model after all, but she was just abysmal in this film. She spoke in a completely monotone voice. She's kind of like a female Keanu Reeves. Completely monotone voice, no emotions into her face whatsoever, fake smiles, horrendous amounts of makeup, a cheap-ass, dumbass-looking wig, and oh my god, her fucking costume. She's literally just... her fucking costume. The first scene that we see her when she's introduced, when Richard Jekyll and Akira Takarada wake up, the first scene that we see this doctor, she's wearing this like borderline spaghetti strap golden bikini that just has barely enough fabric to cover up her tits, and it's kind of like it's a bareback type thing that it's almost like a singlet. But it covers the base of her back right above her hips. Then it strings up the sides and it comes around here, leaving the rest of her body exposed. And she kind of has a short skirt on. And a little later in the film, she's wearing this see-through plastic jacket. Her fucking costume is just ridiculous. Like, is this the type of shit that doctors wear at Latitude Zero? Because if it is, I mean, what the fuck? Most of the costumes in this movie are ridiculous. But hers is the absolute worst. and her acting is the absolute worst. But yeah, aside from that, all of the other human characters, except for Joseph Cotton, Cesar Romero, and kind of Cesar Romero's love interest, the rest of those just suck. They utterly, abysmally suck. The action scenes also, unfortunately, well, okay, the ship battles are fun, but the human action scenes are pretty poor. That's just a fault of Ishiro Honda. I agree with the saying that Adam Noyes said this in his review. Jun Fukuda really should have directed this movie. And for those who don't remember, Jun Fukuda directed a lot of the later 70s Godzilla movies. He directed Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, Son of Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Gigan, Godzilla vs. Megalon, and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. He directed all those Godzilla movies. Jun Fukuda knew how to direct comedy, and he also knew how to direct human action. There's a lot of human action scenes in those 5 Godzilla movies, and they're all pretty well shot. Ishiro Honda didn't really know how... Actually, no, he didn't know how to. He didn't like to direct human action. That's why the human action scenes in Battle in Outer Space are so poor, and the ones in this movie are so poor as well. Because you just left a lot of them to your imagination. The human action scenes in this movie, they're very, very, very poor. They're very stilted. They're very kind of choppy. They're worse than 60s Batman action scenes. I'm going to go as far as that. Con number 3 is the Griffin. Why the fuck is the Griffin in this movie? It's aside from the process of creating this creature, utterly ridiculous and utterly stupid. The Griffin itself is just entirely pointless to the story because literally the only reason that it's there for is to destroy the Black Shark and kill Dr. Malik, and that's it, if you ask me. I do not... Okay, Latitude Zero is based on a 1940s radio serial. I have no idea if the Griffin was in the original 40s version, but if it wasn't, and somebody in the comments below, please correct me if I'm wrong, if it was in the original 40s version. But if it wasn't, I guarantee that the only reason that they had the Griffin was because people were saying, well, this is a Toho movie. People know this is a Toho movie. We got to have some kind of giant monster in it. Either that or they had to give Haruo Nakajima, who did play the Griffin, some work. Actually, no, that's not true. Because he did play Godzilla in Godzilla's Revenge. Who knows? But I think the only reason that they had the Griffin was because they had to have some type of giant monster. And it's just entirely pointless because not only does the Griffin suit just look like utter garbage, it's just pointless to the story. It only has like maybe 5 minutes of screen time. This movie is actually surprisingly long. Okay, I am technically reviewing the US version because the US version is actually longer than the Japanese version. The US version of Latitude Zero is 1 hour and 45 minutes long. That's actually quite long for a Toku film. Like the Japanese version of King Kong Escapes is like 107 minutes long. Actually, it was 104 minutes long. That's actually quite long for a tokusatsu film. Which actually pleasantly surprised me because I thought this movie was going to be like 80-something minutes long. Thank God it's not. Because this movie would have felt even more rushed and even more truncated than the US version. The US version actually feels like a competent film. But the Griffin is just entirely stupid. And also, admittedly, aside from the ship battle, the final act... Actually, no, the very, very final act... Sorry, my ear itches. God damn. The last 5 minutes of the movie, I just kind of feel were utterly pointless. I think the movie could have been, would have been fine if it ended on the shot where the Navy battleship is headed towards Richard Jekyll when he's on a life raft, and the credits could have just come over and saying the end. I think that's where the movie should have ended, but the entire ending scene with Richard Jekyll's character, like, people thinking that he's crazy and him not having the diamonds and the tobacco instead and having all of his film be destroyed. Granted, it kind of goes to... if this movie was the setup for a TV series, it wouldn't have made sense because Latitude Zero is still out there. But because this movie didn't have a TV series, this is just a standalone film, I think the movie would have been better if it ended on just the end shot of the battleship heading towards to rescue Richard Jekyll's character. But the very final act is just, it's a little dumb. So with all of that said about Latitude Zero, the thing that I told you that this movie shares with Atragon. Hang on a second. Latitude Zero and Atragon both feel like setups to a TV series. And I feel like these movies would have been better as a TV series. Specifically Atragon, because I'm not going to lie, I was not blown away by Atragon. I'm sorry to say. It would have made a really, 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 really good TV show. And Latitude Zero would have made a really, really, really good TV show as well. So with all that said, I'm going to give Latitude Zero a 7.5 out of 10. It is a pretty fun, it's a pretty entertaining, it's a decently made tokusatsu film. And for if I definitely do recommend this if you're an Ishiro Honda fan, if you're a Toho fan, and also if you're a fan of 60s cheese, like 60s Batman, check this movie out because I don't think you'll be disappointed. And if you are, then I'm sorry. But I do recommend if you check out Latitude Zero. Push the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video with your friends. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to put the next video out, but I hope you'll join me then. And until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Again, I don't have my shades. Fuckers broke.